Facebook. Welcome, YouTube. The penultimate Monday of 2025. No, Neil, there's 3 Mondays left. There is officially 3 Mondays left of 2025. But you're only going to see me for 2 of them, today and next week. And then we are done. Not just for Mondays. I'll still be here until doing lives the 19th. There might be the odd live after that before Christmas. There might be, but officially a week on Friday, that is me done for 2025, and I will be back in the new year. Anyway, there we go. Right, I just need to jump onto YouTube. That's what this is. Anyway. How is everyone? How has your weight loss weekend been? Is that a tough question? How's your weight loss week been? I get it. Honestly, I really do. It's that time of year. Everything's a little bit trickier. Everything's a little bit tougher. We know it is. It's not going to change this year. Well, it'll be the same next year. I'm actually going to do some content for socials and a podcast on Christmas this week. It is, something that people absolutely panic about, and I'm going to try and help with that. Basically, I've worked a lot with my community over the last few weeks, trying to keep them on track the best I can. But we've also got to have a bit of a reality check. Is everything going to be 100% this time of year? No, I mean, everything shouldn't be 100%. Everything can be 100% for what we're trying to do. Being 100% for what we're trying to do does not mean being perfect, and I'll always say that. Anyway, it is a trickier time of year, and all you need to do is just keep trying your best. But we're gonna have occasions where things just end up going. You can set off with the best intentions in the world, and over the next couple of weeks, next couple of weekends, things are going to go. It just is what it is. We've just got to accept it. And it's about, I think, this time of year, it's more about staying mentally positive than it is about ticking every single box. Anyway, let's do top 5 on TikTok. And then I'll give you a rundown of how my weekend's been. Losing at number 1, phasing at number 2. Sheila's in very quickly. She's abbreviated morning, but Sheila's in at number 3. Lisa's in at number 4, and Tina is in at number 5. Good morning, everyone. Tina, I know you sent me a voice note over the weekend. Anyone that sent me voice notes over the weekend, I did sign off actually at about 11 o'clock on Saturday. I still worked after that, just finishing off a few check-ins and stuff. But yeah, I did sign up. So today will be my catch-up day. I'm doing a live this morning. Well, obviously. Hey, Neil. Yes, you'll say I'm. And then I've got to shoot off because I'm training with a mate in the gym. And I've got a few errands to run. We're off to M&S. We're going to get some stuff for this week's worth of calories. What else have I got to do? I've got just a couple of life bits of life admin to do, and then this afternoon I am planning on catching up. So I'll get back to everyone this afternoon and sort all the anything that's coming over the weekend and get back to you guys. Cal, good morning. Mama Bear, good morning. Lee, good morning. Kelly C, Jam B, good morning. Good morning. Jackie's in, good morning to you. Michelle, good morning. Callum, weekend good. Steps and calories, bang on. Brilliant, Callum. Still holding on. Yes, the challenge did end for Group 1 on Friday. Group 2 is this Friday, and that is the total end of the challenge. Now, Group 1, I've never done this before, but I've decided to this time. Group 1, you have just got their final check-in scores, right? So whatever scores they've got for their last check-in. And then what I'm actually going to do this week is I'll sort out all the bonus scores for Group 1. As I'm doing the check-ins on Friday, I will sort out the bonus scores for Group 2 as at the same time. I've not done that with Group 1. And then I'll send the final scores out with your final challenge check-in sheet to absolutely everybody on Friday. I'm going to aim to do it on Friday. Please bear with. That is my aim. Though I am actually, I'd totally forgotten. It was just a little bit bad time. I'm covering spin at 5. So to be fair, I'm covering spin at 5, which means I won't be going to the gym in the morning, which is good. So it means I can get my head down and get stuck into things. And I'll send everyone's challenge check-in sheet out with final scores, including bonus points. And then as long as everyone checks in on Friday, officially you can check in up to 12 p.m. on Saturday. So some people want to check it, they still can. And then I'll announce the winners. And one of you lucky people will have, not lucky, one of you grafters, all right? You win the challenge, you work flipping hard, all right? You'll get 500 quid in your bank account. In your bank account. And you know what? It's the most, like, if I'm being honest, it's probably the most successful challenge I've had. I've had so many people absolutely smash it. Absolutely smash it. And I've looked back and I was like, oh, have I made it to eat? I haven't. I've actually made this challenge probably the toughest I've made it for people, because I was like, but yeah, people just, you give them the goals, they hit them. And they're all achievable. When I say I've made it tough, it's nothing that's unachievable for people. It's just, you know, we've just pushed it a little bit more, you know. Anyway, next challenge though, I've got a bit of a plan that's going to go in. Right, I'm mixing it up a little bit for the next. Nothing major. So the next challenge that starts in March, we're going to be mixing it up a little bit in terms of, yeah, really just pushing it a little bit more. Again, nothing major, nothing too, you know, nothing that people are going to go, oh, I'll never do that. No, I'll always set targets that are achievable. We have to put some F in, 100%. 100%. Anyway, very busy. I'm still feeling delicate. Oh, family Christmas night out. Michelle's subject to the 2-3 day hangover. We've been there. To be honest with you, I was possibly expecting to be a little bit delicate myself this morning. We had a family christening yesterday, and me and Rachel were both like umming and ahhing about who was going to drive. Because Rachel was like, do you know what? Because it's Rachel's side of the family. Obviously, I don't have a side of the family, but me and my mum. So that's the extent of my family. Whereas Rachel's got aunties, uncles, cousins everywhere. Anyway, so it's Rachel's side of the family. And Rachel was like, do you know what? This will be it this side of Christmas before I get to see everyone. So I might have a couple of glasses of wine and, you know, and this, that, and the other. And I was like, oh, all right. And then she was like, no, I'm probably not going to bother. I was like, oh, well, I might have a couple of pints then. And she was like, yeah, go on then. And then when we were driving there yesterday, she was like, I know I said I wasn't going to, but I think I do fancy a couple of wines today. And I was like, oh, I fancy a couple of. So then we were like, oh, well, who's going to this, that, and the other? And do you know what? It ended up, which I'm absolutely more than happy that it has ended up. I just said to Rachel, yeah, I said, well, I'll have 2 beers. I'll have 2. We're going to be there for 3 hours. I'll have a beer when I get there. I'll have some food, and then I might have another one. I did end up having 2 pints and then give it an hour and a half, couple of Diet Cokes down me, bit of food, and ended up driving back. And Rachel actually ended up having 1 wine. So neither of us. So what? And I'd actually saved a pretty decent amount of calories. Or in my head, I was like, I've sort of said recently, I'm quite happy to go into my ideal, you know, go past my ideal deficit, which I have done this week, but only by about 300. I've only gone about that, and I would have been happy to have gone 2,000 past it. So, yeah, so it didn't end up a boozy weekend at all, or a calorific one, to be honest with you. I think I am. Let me have a look at my NutriCheck for the week. I was 419 calories over, and that is from 2 pints of Cruz Campo. If I'd not had 2 pints of Cruz Campo, I'd have actually been under my ideal deficit for the week. So I'm all good. I'm happy. I'm happy with that. And we've had a really good weight loss week. Officially, it should have been my check-in on Friday. Didn't go anywhere near the scales. Not going to now until a week on Friday, 19th. I'm going to jump on. I'm going to log my weight. That's me done until the new year. We're still pushing till then. We're still trying our best to stay within. And like I say, I've had a good week this week. And drop my tablet. And in all honesty, there is no reason why this was meant to be a quiet week, if I'm being honest with you guys. I think this week's probably going to end up being a bit more calorific than last week. But again, I can't, nothing too major. We're out on Friday night. I'm teaching spin Friday night till 6. And then we're out with we're going to our friend's house for, to do, like we always go every year, Secret Santa, get a takeaway and this, that, and the other. So I've got that on Friday night. So I've got a takeaway Friday night, which is going to be a bit calorific. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and build it into my ideal depth, like into my average calories. So I'm going to have 2,600 calories on Friday. So I'm just not going to bank any. And I didn't bank any this Friday coming. So I'm just going to bank Monday to Thursday this week. And then Saturday, Sunday, yeah, we've got no plans, though. Me and Rach have sort of said, hopefully my local pub's opening back up. It's been shut for 3 months. It's opening back up Friday, I've heard. So I said to Rachel Saturday, do you fancy, let's get a couple of pizzas in fridge or freezer. Let's go for a nice afternoon walk with the dogs, like a really good walk, like an hour and a half walk with the dogs, and then circle back round and nip into local pub, as long as they're dog friendly, and have 3 or 4 beers, like just a nice little tea time, 2 or 3, maybe 4 beers, couple of hours. Meet the new landlord and landlady, and then get home and we'll still stick a pizza in them. So again, it's not something I can't really build into my calories. And then Sunday, I've got an MRI on my knees. Yeah, they're 7 days a week apparently. So 10 to 6 Sunday night MRI on my knees. How random is that? But anyway, so this weekend should be all right, you know. Carly, my second surgery's booked, Neil. April. What's your second surgery, Carly? What are you having done? And how have you healed all good from your first one? Nelly New on Facebook, good morning. Kevin on YouTube, good morning, mate. Hope you're all good. Emma's in, good morning. What do you think of a 3-day water fast? Pointless, unhealthy. Like, what are you trying to do it for? Tell me what you're trying to do with 3-day water fast. Will you lose some weight? Yeah, because you're not eating anything for 3 days. But is it a healthy way to lose weight? No. Does it have any other health benefits? No. Like, detoxes the body, Neil. No, it doesn't. That's what your liver does. Right? The liver detoxes your body. You're trying to find your kidneys. Liver and kidneys, that's their job. That's how you detox the body. You know, will it halt the conveyor belt of your digestive system, because you're still going to have stuff going through your digestive system, but nothing coming in other than water? Yeah, but like, you know, water is good for us. And if it's decent mineral water, you'll get some minerals going into your body, like magnesium and potassium and sodium and a few other bits and pieces. But other than that, you're going to have no vitamins going in your body for 3 days. You're going to have no proteins going in your body for 3 days. You're going to have no carbs going in your body for 3 days. You're going to have no healthy fats going in your body, no omega-3s, no omega-6s. So why are you doing it? Pointless. Absolutely pointless. Yeah, because this guy does it on TikTok and he looks amazing. Nah, he doesn't. Matt says he does it. Doesn't. Morning, boss. Long time no see. Hope you're all good, mate. Tom, how are you, my friend? Hope you are good too, and the family and the newborn and all that. And the other, Maureen, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Need all the motivation I can get hanging in there, but flagging a bit. I know it is. And do you know what it is? Do you know what's tough this time of year? Right. I ticked all the boxes last week, but everything just feels a bit more of an effort, right? Look, weight loss is an effort anyway, but the longer we do it, the more subconscious certain habits become. And really, you know, it should just kind of flow. Yes, you know, you've got to do get your steps in, track your calories, this, that, and the other. But I've done all this now for 9, 10, 11 years. It's just part of my life. And normally it's just part of my life, like getting out of bed, like going to the toilet, like, you know, talking, it's just part of my everyday life. It's just what I do on a day-to-day basis. You know, it's not, but this time of year, it doesn't quite feel like that. It feels like to make sure that I'm staying on top of my calories, to get my steps, to go to the gym, to get the protein and get it. It just feels like a little bit more of an effort. And that just makes it a little bit more like not uncomfortable. I wouldn't say weight loss shouldn't be uncomfortable. It's just, yeah. And then obviously we've got temptation everywhere. It's just the culture of Christmas and the culture of this time of year, you know. And it's not just temptation from food being everywhere. You've got temptation from friends. You've got temptation from family. You know, you've got, I mean, we had a christening yesterday. Who has a christening in December? I mean, obviously quite a few people did because there was 3 babies in the church having a christening. But I'm like, I'm not used to having christenings. It's generally more of a summer sort of vibe, isn't it? But you know, there are more events and more things going on. And your own willpower just tends to deplete a little bit this time of year. You know, it's like if a new landlord and landlady took over at the end of January in my local pub, would I nip in and say hi and have a couple of beers? No, I do dry January. And don't worry, I'm not saying you can't nip in and have a non-alcoholic drink. And if they did food, we'd go and support them and have tea there and stuff like that. But this time of year, I'm just like, yeah, I want to go to the pub. And, you know, so yeah, it's just trickier, you know. It's trickier, you know. Get the gingerbread and white chocolate cookies. I've done them. I'm gonna go in, and I know it's like, so yeah. So I'm going to M&S for worth the calories, and unfortunately, quite a few of like the M&S viral bits and pieces I've done. So I've done the gingerbread and white chocolate cookies. They were delicious. I've done the peppermint bark ones. They were all right. If you want like mint cookies, Tesco, unbelievably good. Unbelievably good. Well better than the M&S ones. So yeah, I've already done them. And I do want some sweet stuff, but I have seen that the only problem is I'm going, like, I can't get anything frozen. So because I'm going this morning, and well, I'm going like after this live, and then I've got to go to the gym. So I'm probably going to be in M&S at about 10:15, and I'm not going to be home till about 12:15. So I can't, and I've cocked up really because I've got a bloody, I've got like an insulated freezer bag, and I've not frozen the bloody packs that go in there to keep stuff cold. Maybe I could just take it anyway and stuff. Will it stay frozen if I ever buy? But I'm only going to be buying a couple of bits. Or do I buy a bag of ice? I might do that. Right? I don't mind investing in a bag of ice. It's fine. If M&S sell ice, it's probably about £17 a bag of M&S ice. It's not just any ice, it's M&S ice, right? So it's probably it probably comes from some sort of, you know, Swiss Alps. M&S have bought one waterfall and the ice comes down. Anyway, whatever. So maybe I can take my insulated freezer bag and just buy a bag of ice, which will keep it cold. That might be the thing. And I think I'm going to do I'm going to try maybe do a little bit of a bumper edition M&S one. So I normally do 5 items worth of calories. I might try and do 6 or 7 or something like that. You know, do a few extra. I'm sure there's loads of stuff I've not tried from M&S. Last week in the challenge this week for me, hanging on there. Yeah, keep pushing, guys. The closer we get to Christmas, the tougher it is. But if you can hang on in there closer to Christmas, you know, the biggest thing is keeping you guys at it once the challenge finishes. Because I know, like, if you can hold on just for, even if it's just till Mad Friday, like the 19th, one more week, right? You know, yeah, we don't want you to go too soon. And I get it. And it is the toughest part about doing the challenge this time of year, because even, you know, clients that finished on Friday, I had a few clients said, I'm taking the weekend off and then I'll be back Monday for the final 2 weeks of the year. And I was like, yeah, I get it. That works. This week, can you take the weekend off Saturday, Sunday? 100%. Of course you can. But try and get back to it Monday. Try and do one more full week if you can. and just hold on until Christmas. Because in all honesty, from a week on Saturday, I'm going to be calorific. I'm still going to track, which is going to keep me accountable, but the calories are going to go. They just are, you know. Paula, good morning. The festive turkey lasagna was lovely. Very nice. I'll have a look. Freezer food has 4 hours really before it has quality issues. Yeah. To be honest with you, I'm not too. It's things like ice cream and stuff. It's like if you like ice cream, if it like desserts, if they defrost and then refreeze, they get like icicles in them, so they're just crap, right? Basically, I'm not worried about like stuff's thawing out a bit and refreezing it. I'm genuinely not. It's just quality control. But yeah, and especially with the supermarket, because the supermarket uses like a deep. Have you not noticed how frozen supermarket that it should be like a deep freeze compared to like a domestic thing? They're proper frozen. They're proper frozen in a supermarket, because you got to think people might go shopping and you go, by the time you might do this. I mean, we always do the freezer section last. I think you're a crazy person if you do the freezer section first in the supermarket. We always do the freezer section last, but you think you still got a good hour or so before, by the time you pack, and then you might go into the cafe and get something to eat. So yeah, generally. Anyway, I'll take my freezer bag. I'll buy a bag of ice and stick it in there. Hello, Neil. I'm holding on for dear life until Christmas. Everyone is on this. Trust me. Gingerbread mince pies or Rodney reindeer mince pies from M&S look good. Ben, I'm on it. Honestly, I'm going to have a right good route about. The M&S I'm going to isn't the biggest M&S food in the world. I'm going to the one in St. Anne's. Right? If anyone's ever been to St. Anne's. St. Anne's actually isn't that posh. Lytham's posh. St. Anne's isn't that posh. St. Anne's would like to be as posh as Lytham. It's not. If you live in St. Anne's, I said this the other week on my McDonald's. If you live in St. Anne's, right, you live in Lytham, St. Anne's, right? If you live in Lytham, you just live in Lytham. They sort of chop St. Anne's out. It's like that photo that you might have in your Photoshop. We don't want that random person in there. Right? That's how Lytham treats St. Anne's. St. Anne's like to embrace Lytham. If you know, you know. Anyway, yeah, so I'm going to head over to M&S in St. Anne's. It isn't the biggest M&S in the world. So, again, it might be a little bit limited. I should really have given Rachel a list, because she goes to... This is why I've tried so many M&S bits, because she can go... She works about 10 minutes from Deepdale in Preston, and they've got a big M&S food area. She keeps coming back with little bits and pieces from there. Like, we'll be trying this. But we'll go to the St. Anne's one. We'll have a route through. We'll see what's what. If I don't quite meet my quota... I have options, so we have options. So I might have to move to another M&S tomorrow. I might actually end up going to the Deepdale one, to be honest with you. I could do go. I need to nip to Deepdale anyway, because I need a couple of bits and pieces still to finish off my Christmas shopping. So we might end up there anyway. But yes, we'll have a good route through. Excuse me. March challenge will be great for me. I've got my solo holiday in June, so give me great motivation. Yeah, I know people might not want to think about challenges in the new year, but I do a March challenge because generally motivation for weight loss is high Jan, Feb. And as it starts to ease off for March, boom. Right, I'll put a challenge in there. And I think I'm going to start it. I might start it quite early this year, because Easter's a bit earlier this year. So I might look at getting it started on the 2nd of March. And that way it'll run. So Group 1 will start on the 2nd. Group 2 will start on the 9th. And it'll basically cover all of March, all of April, all of May. And I think Group 1 will probably finish the 29th of May. And then Group 2 will finish. When will Group 2 finish? Group 2 will finish the 5th of June. And then we'll have summer off. And then we're back. Oh God, we shouldn't be talking like this, should we? We shouldn't be talking like this. I'm fully committed to March challenge. Take my Faye's coming in. All right, Regan. Good morning. Let me Let me scan down, see if I've missed anything. I don't think I have. The festive turkey lasagna was over there. I do fancy that. Don't bother with the M&S pigs in blankets mac and cheese. Oh, do you know what? That would have been something I would have grabbed. There are so many foods this time of year that just look amazing, and they just don't live up to the hype. Really don't live up to the hype. So, and I'm a sucker for it. We are, aren't we? We're a bit of a sucker for advertising, aren't we? So, Anis, I'm also getting in the chat. Oh, everyone's jumping in. Lovely. Yeah, I'll be sorting that towards the end of January, to be honest with you. We'll get, because I always give you guys time to pay, because you pay 25 quid one month, 25 quid the next month. So we'll get, I'll be up for another challenge. It's kept me on track so much. Brilliant. I'm glad you've all enjoyed it. They are good. They are good. They are good to keep going. It just mixes it up a little bit. The weight loss can get a little bit staid at times. Can I go in the community? Yeah, sorry, Alice. I meant to add it. I'll add you today, mate. Just drop me a WhatsApp, would you? Just drop me a WhatsApp as a reminder, and then I'll action it this afternoon. Don't panic if I've not read it, but I'll action it this afternoon. So what's the plans this week for me? Nothing really, if I'm being honest with you. In terms of it's just business as usual. I trained better last week, so my motivation was up. I actually went to the gym yesterday. We're rumming and ahhing about going, and Rachel was like, should we just take the dogs for a long walk? And I nearly said yeah, but I said no, I'm actually motivated to go. So while my motivation was up for going, let's go. So training's been good. I'm winding work down a little bit, so I'm just kind of ticking the boxes with work. Just because I'm not saying a lot of my guys that are working with me aren't trying to keep them going, but I'm not really trying to drive loads of new business at the moment, or I'm going to try and do a bit more content. I've slacked a bit on my content this last week, so again, just trying to push myself for the last couple of weeks. But I worked that hard during and I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet. I do. I put the effort in throughout the year. It's always the same in December. I always go in a bit of a go slow mode, and again, looking ahead, January is so manic. It was always the same with personal training. When I was a PT, I only personal trained for 3 years. I say 3 years. I did 3 Christmases. And did I do 3 Christmas? Maybe 4. I did Christmas 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. I said, no, I did 5. God. So I did 5 Christmases, and it's always the same. Like November, September, October, November, I'd be really busy with personal training. And then you would get to like December, and some clients were like, I'll be back in January. So, I used to do 35 to 40 sessions a week PT. December, I probably dropped down to like 25. And then the week before Christmas, which will have been next week, at probably 20 sessions. So many people are like, I won't be there Friday. I've got my work to do Thursday, or people are going out, this, that, and the other. So really, in fact, 2018 and 2019, I went on holiday in December for a week with some mates. Me and a couple of mates, not with PTs from the gym, were like, should we just go on holiday for a week? There's like, and they're like, yeah. So, it's just a time of year. But, like I say, the reverse of that is January is genuinely he's absolutely manic. So, yeah, taking foot off the gas and just eye on the prize of, finishing a week on Friday. That is when I'm finishing. Well, technically a week on Saturday, because I always any overspill of check-ins will be done. But I am signing off for Christmas. I'm gonna we're out actually we're picking some friends up at 1:00 on Saturday. So I'm gonna sign off for Christmas probably at 11 a.m. Saturday the 20th. So anything that my out of office is going on, any check-ins, anything that comes in. Don't get me wrong, Monday, Tuesday, I'll keep a little eye, and I might just finish off a few bits and pieces just to clear my diary. But yeah, really, 11 a.m. a week on Saturday, I'm out. I'm out till the 5th of Jan. All right, out of office is going on. So this week it is content, ticking the boxes, doing the bits with clients. Obviously, Friday is going to be a really busy day with the challenge finishing. Like I say, I'm not going to the gym until 5 o'clock. So I'm just going to get in here in the morning, get my head down, get grafting at it, and get it all ticked off. And then yeah, that's it really. In terms of calories, because we're at a friend's on Friday, I'm not banking Friday, so 2,600. So I'm going to try and tighten up a little bit during the week. I'm going to film some content today. I am going to do a day's eating on 1,600 calories, right? And I'm kind of doing that today. So I'm going to eat 1,600 calories today, which would have me banking 1,000 calories. And why I'm doing that is content to show a day's eating of 1,600 calories. And I'm going to kind of try and do that for the new year. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying, I've got clients that are on all different types of calories. But because we're on all different types of calories, it doesn't mean one day a week we can't eat 1,600 to bank a good few for the weekend. Irrelevant of what you're getting. My calorie allowance is 2,600 a day. Mondays tends to be my lowest, appetite sort of day. It just is. I've had a calorific weekend, and I just don't feel like I need loads of calories on a Monday. So yeah, we're going to do 1,600 calories, and I think I'm going to try and do that quite consistently going into the new year. Because why 1,600 calories? For me personally, 1,600 calories is the lowest amount of calories an adult should be eating for weight loss. Right, is the lowest amount of calories. Not like, that should be your minimum. And again, I'm not saying if your calories are 1,600 a day on average, you might not have a few days where you're eating 1,450 a day. But in all honesty, and I've said this, you can scan back through all my content. I've always said this. If you have to eat less than 1,600 calories to lose weight, either, right, your calories are wrong, you've worked them out wrong, right, or you're trying to be too restrictive, right? Number two, you don't move enough, right? Or number three, you don't need to lose weight. You just want to for whatever reason. So, if someone is 9 stone, right, and they do 10,000 steps a day, which is a decent level of movement, but they decide they want to lose a pound a week on average, right? Someone that's 9 stone that does 10,000 steps a day is going to burn 1,900 calories a day, 2,000 calories a day, right? So, yeah, if you want to lose a pound a week, you're going to be eating 1,400, 1,500. You don't need to lose weight at 19 stone, at 9 stone. You genuinely don't, Now, you might be unhappy with the way you look in the mirror. Well, that means you need to change your body composition. And changing your body composition doesn't necessarily mean losing body fat. It might mean going to the gym, training. Well, it does mean going to the gym, training. Right? If you're not happy with the way you look at 9 stone, losing another stone in weight and going down to 8 stone ain't going to make you look any better. It isn't. It isn't. Being super skinny doesn't look good. I'm sorry. That might be controversial. And that might be a thing. It genuinely doesn't look healthy. It doesn't to me. We had in thought processes around what looks good has changed massively over the years. And we've got this situation now where people think the skinnier you are, the better you look, even though we're living in a world where 30% of the UK population is overweight or obese, right? Let's go back to the 1950s. Look at Marilyn Monroe in the 1950s. She was absolutely stunning and probably a size 12, which isn't big in any way, shape, or form. Yet people now think you're overweight if you're a size 12. And she looked stunning. Like her figure, that hourglass figure is absolutely that looks amazing, right? Not many people are going to have an hourglass figure at 8 stone, right? Now, don't get me wrong. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? It generally is. So what some people find attractive and what other people find attractive is, but I think we can have. I think there can be there isn't many people really being truly honest. I think Marilyn Monroe was a 16. A 16. I mean, what was a 16 in the 1950s? It could have been, again, clothes and all that has changed. But, you know, she might have been, whatever size she was, she looked stunning, right? Whereas, and I don't think there's many people would look at her, even in this day and age, and go, there's anything wrong with that. Maybe new generations would. Do you know what I mean? So, but why I'm saying this is, so many people are chasing a number thinking it will make them look better or make them happier, and it just doesn't it just doesn't work like that, you know. It just doesn't. She was a size 16, and she looked perfect, didn't she? There's not one person in the world in the 50s, 60s that would have said she needed to lose weight. She was a pin-up. She was on everyone, you know, a lot of young men and probably a good few young women's walls, you know, as this absolute sex symbol. Where did the shift change to, you know, and I'm not saying she was a healthy person physically or mentally. Could she have been the weight she was and the clothes size she was and been physically and mentally healthy? Of course she could. Obviously, she had a lot of troubles, bless her. And it was just, you know, she had a very tough, like, you know, a lot of people, oh no, she was a superstar. She was worth loads of money. She was absolutely taken advantage of left, right, and centre. But what I'm trying to say there is, you know, I'm talking about calories here. We've got to a day and age where it's like your happiness is determined by a number, and it just doesn't work like that. It just doesn't work like that. You know, I've got clients that have got down to 9 stone. They're still unhappy. Yeah. You know, they're still unhappy. You know, so it's that's why I'm trying to say there's so many people that are trying to lose weight that just don't need it. In fact, I'm not going to name any names, but I don't even know a name, to be honest with you. Rach goes to this lady who does, like, I don't know what she has done, flipping loads of stuff jabbed in her face and this, that, and the other. Anyway, and she was chatting to her on Saturday. She went for a chemical peel. Anyone had a chemical peel? All I know is it's peeled all the skin off her face. Random. Anyway, yeah, she was chatting away to her, and she was like, "Yeah, I used to." She said, "I was dead unhappy." She said, "I was." She said, "About 18 months ago, I was really just talking to Rachel about weight loss and this, that. I was really unhappy with my weight and this, that, and the other." And Rachel was like, "There's nothing off you." And she was like, "Well, no." I said, "I've lost 2 stone." Oh, I said, "Oh, that's good." She said, "What are you weighing now?" And she was like, 9. I think that's why I picked up the 9 stone marker, because she's 9 stone. She was 11 stone. She's 5'4". And she was 11 stone last. Like, I think she said sort of like June or July 2024. Rachel was like, "Oh, that was kind of like." June 24 was kind of when I started my weight loss journey. She said, yeah. Anyway, she said, "I just jumped on that Mounjaro." And I'm like, and Rachel was like, she didn't say this to her, but she come and told me, and I was like, 11 stone, 5'4". Well, she's obviously lying her pants off to get her MJ. And she was like, and she'd done it for, and to be fair to her, she did it for 3 months, lost 2 stone in 3 months, and she has kept it off. And Rachel was like, "Why do you think she's managed to keep it off?" Because I said, "She's 11 stone. I said, someone that's 11 stone and 5'4" doesn't have an issue with their eating. She's just probably, for whatever reason, you know, if she's been 11 stone for 5 years, she's used to eating in a calorie maintenance. If she goes on to MJ and loses 2 stone and then comes off it and she goes back into eating into a calorie maintenance, she's going to maintain that loss. You know, I don't know many people that are 11 stone that have severe eating issues in terms of weight gain. Severe eating, they're 11 stone, especially at 5'4". 11 stone, 5'4" is a very healthy. You know, it's a good weight. It genuinely is. You know, so You know, and so she did Mounjaro for 3 months up to Christmas, and she stayed at 9 stone. She's gone from 11 to 9 and kept it off. And I was just like, talked about this in my podcast about it, you know, if used by the wrong people in the wrong way. She did it for 3 months. She's lost 2 stone. She's come off it. She's not jumped back onto it. So it's like, how will she put herself at any sort of risk to do that? Very minimal. Very minimal. But it is crazy, like, but this is the thing. She said to Rachel, and Rachel she's not got a great relationship with weight loss. We're still working on it a little bit, even though she's lost a lot of weight. But straight away, Rachel was like, oh, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, how many clients is she talking to that are 11 stone? And she says, oh, I just did this. And then they're trying to jump onto it. I'm just like, you know, I'm not saying at 11 stone, you might not want to lose, trim up a little bit. You might, but, you know, again, it's all down to, again, someone that's 11 stone doesn't really have a major issue with their eating. So if someone that was 11 stone came to me and said, that, and I work with clients that are this way, you know, someone that's 11 stone comes to me and goes, I want to lose some weight. And I might ask them, how long have you been 11 stone for? And they might be like, 10 years, right? So you've maintained for 10 years. So you're good at controlling your calories. You just want to trim up a little bit. Yeah. You know, yeah. So it's, you know, you might want to trim up a little bit. And the first thing I'd look at is movement. So if you're currently eating in a calorie maintenance, because you've been 11 stone for 10 years, so you're averaging a calorie maintenance, do we really need to drop your calories, or do we just need to increase your calorie burn to put you into a calorie deficit? So someone might be averaging, you know, at your current movement, right, at your current weight, at your current movement, you burn 2,000 calories a day. And you're obviously eating 2,000 calories a day on average because your weight's very, very stable. So if we can actually get you to burn 2,250 calories a day, right, we're going to put you in a 250 calorie a day deficit. That's half a pound a week fat loss, right? And that half a pound a week fat loss, you do that for whatever, 6 months, you're going to lose a stone. And some people might be like, to lose a stone in 6 months, that's really slow. Not when you're 11 stone, to go from 11 stone to 10. Right, it's just a nice steady chip away, because really you're not going, I'm 11 stone, I need to lose a stone to get an operation, I need to lose. You're doing it for aesthetics. Let's go from 11 stone to 10. You're doing it for looks, because anyone that's 11 stone, their weight isn't putting any pressure on their body in terms of health whatsoever. Their diet might be, so we can look at improving that, and again, lack of movement might be. So we can look at, but that's what we're doing. Does that kind of make sense? Hi, my last weigh-in for Xmas is this Friday, cut off the 24th, restart the 5th. So I weigh the Friday. Hang on. Hi, my last weigh-in before Christmas is this Friday, cut off the 24th, restart. Do I weigh? Oh, the Friday after. Yeah, I mean, if you're sort of weighing, if you're kind of following my advice and weighing every couple of weeks. So I've got clients that are weighing in this Friday, which is the 12th, and that is their last official check-in of 2025. But to keep my clients accountable all the way up to their Christmas cutoff, I will offer them, which I do every year, a pre-Christmas weigh-in. So it's not a check-in. You're not getting any feedback from me, but you know, whatever your Christmas cutoff is, it might be the 22nd, 23rd, it might be the 19th, weigh again and just ping your weight over to me. And at some point in the new year, I will log that on your progress sheet. Likewise, if you want to send me a post-Christmas weigh-in. Now, any of my clients that are checking in this week on the 12th, which is their last official check-in, their first check-in back after is really close. It's the 9th, right? So even if you start back on the 1st or the 2nd, right? It's only a week until you're weighing. So you don't need to send a post. If you want to, you can do. I'll log it on your sheet. I don't mind doing, and the date it's my WhatsApp is the date I'll log on your progress sheet. So I might log 22nd or 23rd of December pre-Christmas, 2nd of January post-Christmas, and then 9th of January first official weigh-in of 2026. Fine, right? My clients that weigh in next week, which is the 19th, which is pretty much taking them all up to Christmas, that's your pre-Christmas weigh-in. Even if you're still tracking Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we'll just log the 19th as your post-Christmas. Now, as your pre-Christmas, sorry. Now, anyone that weighs in on the 19th, you're not back until the 16th. You've pretty much got at least 11 days. So if you start back on the 5th, you've got 11 days. If you decide to start backtracking on the 2nd, you've got a full 2 weeks. So if you likewise want to send a post-Christmas weight over, by the way, guys, when you check in this Friday, next Friday, I'll put a list of instructions down for you to sort of say, look, this is how, if you want to send over, go for it. Yeah. What's your podcast? We have some slightly different views, I think. BMI 35, for example. It's the best thing about being human beings. We're all allowed to have different viewpoints. And yeah, and I genuinely feel that, I said in my podcast, I think it should be regulated up to a BMI of 35. Right? I 35 or more for weight loss jabs, because I genuinely feel that anyone who is under 35 BMI, it does come down to height, movement. We have to take BMI with a pinch of salt, but you've got a lot of flexibility under 35 BMI to fleece the system. So do you take into account BMI and body fat percentage? Right, so someone might have a BMI of 30, but their body fat is 35%. That's not necessarily going to be a common one. And please don't go, well, my Renfro scales say my body. Renfro scales are crap for stuff like that. All right, all 20-pound biometric impedance scales, they give you a rough ballpark figure. They give you a little bit of a guide. You cannot get true body fat percentage readings unless you use skin calipers. So, if you physically go to a pharmacist and there is an expert there that can pinch, they do under your arm, they do your hip, they'll do your leg, and they'll do your back, right? And from those readings of how close the skin calipers can pinch between your skin, we can then get an accurate reading of what your current body fat percentage is. And if your current body fat percentage is an unhealthy level, or top end of it, and your BMI is under, then yeah. But, let's take into account, someone might be 6 foot tall, they might be fit, healthy, and carry a decent amount of muscle, right? Their BMI, my BMI is 31, right? So, but my body fat percentage is 21.8%, right? So at 21.8% at a BMI of 31. Now, don't get me wrong, I might be a little bit of a rare case. Yeah. Just like rugby players might be a little bit of a rare case. But simply, if we're just going to use one piece of data for determining whether people can go onto jabs or not, I think the leeway has to be deeper. I do. I think I don't think it should be so. I don't think it should be such a big swing as it is now. I think it should be a little bit stricter. Again, it's just my own personal opinion. I got to sync with my weigh-ins. When should I do my last one before Christmas? Let's go this week, Emma. Anyone that asks me that, right? Honestly, anyone that asks me that, I'm like, let's go this week, right? And we'll do this as your last official check-in, Emma. But again, if you want to do a pre-Christmas wait, there's no time like the present. Say that, Emma. Let me see when your last check-in was. I think it'd be this week anyway, because you've not checked in, just gone. So you're not. I know you might feel like a thing, but I don't think you are too much. Or are you? Why have I not? No, that's not your last check-in, Emma. I've done your check-ins more recent than that. I might just not have updated your dates because you have been out of sync previously to your last check-in. Emma, let me just go for this Friday. Just go for this Friday. There's no time like the present, right? So let's go for this Friday, and then for an official check-in, and then I'll offer you a pre-Christmas weigh-in if you want, just to ping over, just to keep you accountable. And you can choose whatever day you want to do that, 19th, 20th, 21st. Actually, I'm signing off officially on the 19th. I might do a bit of work on the 20th in the morning. So if you send your pre-Christmas weigh-in 21st, 22nd, it'll just sit in my WhatsApp until the new year. But it will keep you accountable because you know that's what you're gonna do. I sent last Monday. Yeah, so I've just not. I've put it in. I know I've done your check-in. I've just not updated because I have your dates on the side, and I pre-fixed the dates for the next few check-ins. So yeah, if you checked in last Monday, let's do this Friday, which is 11 days. It's kind of like a restart one, isn't it? And then we'll do a pre-Christmas one. You know, it was an interesting listen though. Yeah, it would be boring if we were all the same. 100%. 100%. And you know, it's different people are always going to have different viewpoints depending on how they approach different things. You know, it's like, you know, certain chefs will say, cook a steak this way for it to be the best. Certain chefs will say, cook a steak this way for it to be the best. I bet if you ate both of them, they're both sensational, right? It's just, you know, different people have different ways of doing things, different viewpoints. And I will always err on the side of caution with things like that. I will always err on the side of caution because when you're dealing with people's health and you're dealing with medication, I think you should. I think whereas some people will be more gung-ho than I am, some people might be like, no, anyone that's unhappy with their weight, let them buy the meds and jab themselves silly left, right, and center. There will be people like that. There will be, you know. So, and I think you need a good yin and yang with stuff like that. You know, I think you do. I think you always need people that have a little bit more reined in, right? And I think I am a little bit more reined in because working with so many people this year on it, I have seen just side effects we know that are known, but you know, I've seen some really serious side effects, like you know, clients who've done really, really well with their journey, really, really positive, and how it's, you know, and again, it could be a placebo thing, but how it's massively affected men. Physical side effects, you know, severe vomiting, severe diarrhea, right? Severe constipation, right? Those things are just quite unpleasant, right? And I've had clients that have suffered with them for weeks and weeks and weeks on end while their body adjusts to the medication. I've had other clients whose bodies haven't reacted whatsoever. You know, yeah, day one, day two, a little bit of nausea, but nothing major. And after that, I'm all good. Great, because we're all different people, right? But when you're putting guidelines in, you can't put guidelines in for Dave, Janice. Your guidelines have to be a generic guideline, which is why you should always err on the side of caution, right? If you could literally go, yeah, if for anyone that's you know, it's similar to like a paracetamol. Adults, 2 tablets twice a day, 4 hours apart, consume no more than 8 tablets in 24 hours. That's the general guidelines for paracetamol. Should, you know, does the dose of paracetamol need to be the same for an 18-year-old as it does for an 18? You know, you've got an 18-year-old, you know, strapping lad who's 18 stone, built like an absolute brick outhouse that plays rugby. He's an apprentice brickie. He's this, that, and the other, right? So he can have 8 paracetamol a day. And then you've got, you know, Deirdre, who's literally 80 years old. She's 9 stone wet through. She's non-weight bearing. What? And she can have 8 paracetamol. Does it need to be? No. But guidelines need. No one's going to go right. You know, Jordan, who's 18, who's a brickie, you can actually have 12 paracetamol a day, mate. Deirdre, who's 80 years old, that's 8 stone wet through and can't stand up, you can only have. You can't be that specific with generic guidelines, right? Which is, and I think you should always err on the side of caution. But that's just who I am, you know. That's just who I am. My husband wants to do them, but I know even he stops them, weight will come back on. Not necessarily. There's not necessarily. I think a lot of people are, and I don't know if this is just down to seeing more people talk openly and honest about it, that where people have, lost loads on Mounjaro, I've gained it back. Just the same as people talking about Slimming World, I lost 3 stone on Slimming World, I've gained it all back. That's obviously conversations that are going to happen now more and more. But like I've said in my podcast, if used in the right way by the right people, it could be a great tool. It could be a really good tool, And if this, whatever they call, and it's only going to develop. It's only going to develop. The next one will be the retaglutide, or retatrutide, whatever it's called, which is like, so your original weight loss injections hit one receptor, basically GLP-1. It's like one agonist. Your Mounjaro, why that's been so successful is because it's triggered 2 agonists. So it tackles 2 different parts of like hormones. It triggers 2 different hormones, which make it more it makes it more efficient in controlling appetite, physical and emotional food noise, as it were. But it also helps then with balancing hormones, so the side effects aren't as severe, right? The next round of weight loss injections, which is probably going to be 2026, the abbreviated term is RETA, is going to be a triple agonist, right? So that's going to come in on top, and that'll probably it'll probably destroy Mounjaro, because obviously Eli Lilly that's creating RETA will just undercut Mounjaro, and if it's going to be better than Mounjaro, that's what people will then die for. And this will be another interesting thing. So I've sort of said, like, a lot of people have sort of said they're going to be on the weight loss jabs for the rest of their life, and I've sort of said, well, we know that's just kind of, the data shows us so far it's pointless, because you're going to build up an immunity to it, and are you just going to chuck money down the pan when it doesn't work anymore? No. And there's nothing to say it's not going to fully stop working, but is it going to be as, no, right? But some people might be like, look, anything that's there, just an olive branch to keep me, and we're happy to pay £250 a month for that. And if that's who you are, that's fine. But, there's 197 antibiotics out there. And if people become immune to one antibiotic, or one antibiotic doesn't work, you can bounce to another one, right? And you can mooch about. My mum's got a leg ulcer, and she gets infections in it quite often. And the doctors literally move her around antibiotics to antibiotics, so she doesn't get immune to any of them. In 10 years' time, there could be 25 different types of weight loss injections that all do the same thing, but slightly, they're all on the same wavelength, just like an antibiotic is, but they all do it in a different way of challenging the body. So when people maybe build up an immunity to Mounjaro, then they might move to whatever the Eli Lilly one's going to be called, right? If people build up an immunity to that, then they'll bounce back to Mounjaro. If people, build up an immunity to Mounjaro, they might go to Wegovy. Now, if you go from a 2 agonist GLP, right, to a 1, is that going to be anywhere near as effective? No, because I'm seeing that now from clients that are moving from Mounjaro to Wegovy. It's nowhere near as effective, and trying to get the balance to get the same thing just isn't gonna happen, right? And like I say, the new one's gonna, so will that just wipe out the single agonist and the double agonist? Probably. Are there going to be ones that then hit 4 different receptors in 2028? Probably. It's so new. It's just going to develop and develop and develop. And could we end up in 20 years' time where it is just something like people inject insulin every day, and that helps them stop being? Are we going to get? I would have thought so. I think they will advance that much, that it is going to be a case of, it's just a regular prescription meds, like I take my arthritis meds every day, right? That still are as effective now as they were 10 years ago. Will that happen? I would have thought so. Yeah, but we're talking, we're you know, to develop the meds to that point is going to take a long time. You know, we'll see. We'll see. One thing we know is, for whatever reason, you know, we still need to, whether we use the meds or not, we need to make consistent lifestyle changes for them to be long-term effective, even if you're going to be constantly on them. I think you are, you know. It's things like me. I've got arthritis and I'm medicated for it, but I also have to do things on a day-to-day basis to help that arthritis. I don't just rely on the medication to try and keep my knees right. No, I strength train in the gym. I keep my mobility going. I go and, you know, I have physio to keep my muscles supple and stuff like that, you know. So, you know, there we go. Love your knowledge in food and nutrition, but honestly, you are very funny without trying. Love it. I have no idea. I'm just, yeah. But thank you. I'm going to take that as a compliment. Yeah. I just waffle on. That's all I do. I just talk. Basically, just my head's full of nonsense, so it just sort of splurges out, really. Jez, I'm currently 12 stone 4 and being told I look good and don't really need to lose anymore, but I've still a slight belly and I'm sure lose skin. I'm hoping dropping down 11 or so will help. At the end of the day, Jez, you've got to have some body fat in your system to be healthy. You have to, right? And if that body fat that you have in your system decides to store in your tummy area, you're always going to have a little bit of a belly. It doesn't make you any less of a person. It doesn't make your bills any more expensive, right? So, but, you know, can you, you know, if you want to push it a little bit more, just don't chase numbers to try and get rid of it, because you could you can't spot target fat loss. That's the thing. So you know, you're there. I don't lose, but I've still got a slight belly. You'll still have some slight body fat in your legs and your arms and your chest and your back. And you could lose another 7 pounds. And all that body fat might come from every different area of your body other than your tummy. So you could be 11.5 stone and still writing that same thing. I've still got a slight belly. And then you're like, maybe I need to be in the 10 stone bracket. And this is where issues, because we're chasing numbers, right? So, and again, is it body dysmorphia? You might think you've got a slight belly. Have you got a slight, like what you class as a slight belly might not be? Does that make sense? Anyway, that is me. Birthday just on the weekend there, suffering with a lot of water weight, back on it for a week or so. It's always the way. It's always the way. Don't weigh yourself on a Monday. Never weigh yourself on a Monday. Right, guys. MJ was a good tool for me. 6 months on it and 6 months off it and still losing. Michelle, I think you've lost more off it than on it. I think you've got to be. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you really, you know, yeah, Michelle's one of my clients. She went on it in January. So she did well on MJ for a situation that happened. She had to come off it, and she couldn't be on it for a period of time. And she came off it and was like, I can carry on doing this without it. And you did. And you've absolutely smashed 2025. So you've done so good. I'm so proud of you. You've done amazing. Really, really well. And yeah, a success of someone that was on it, come off it, and carried on the journey. You know, used it as a tool, maybe as that kickstart that people say, maybe to build up a little bit of confidence in yourself that you can do this journey. You never went too high a dose, and then you came off it, and yeah, you've just stayed off it, and you've done really, really well. Right, I've got to go. What have I got to do? My mates just text me. You can't make the gym this morning, so I'm going to go now, train in the gym. Then I'm going to go to M&S so I can get some frozen bits, if there are some decent frozen bits, and then I can just come straight home. So I've got a day of jobs, so that's actually quite good. I go to the gym. I've got to go and do. I'm just talking to myself. Right, I'm off. Guys, it's been a pleasure as always. I'm not on tonight. I'm knocking socials on the head at nighttime social. I only do Monday nights anyway. And basically, the main reason is, the honest truth is, Man United are on tonight, and Man United are on next Monday, and I'm going to watch that. So, no offense to you, but I don't know why they are, but they're my priority this evening. Not coming and chatting to you guys. I'm sorry, right? You will be my priority in the evenings in January. And what I'm actually going to do in January is I'm going to do an extra live in the evenings in January. Maybe I might do Monday, Tuesday, or I might do Monday, Thursdays. I don't know. I'm going to do an extra live in January in the evening time to make up for it. Because January's January, isn't it? We're all Wales. Like I said, I'm taking my foot off the gas a little bit at the moment. Have a lovely day. Remember, it is a new weight loss week. It's still, come on, you've got 2 to go. If we can push it this week and next week, if we can just go for the next 2 weeks, and if you want to sign off a week, 2 weeks today, and just go and enjoy Christmas, it's so good. Just let's try and hang on. We'll do it together. I'm hanging on. You can hang on. Right. I will be back. When will I be back? I'll be back tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m. And then if you're on Planner in the Community, 10 a.m., the last weight loss coaching live of this year. And we're going to talk about like New Year, New Me. I think might be the title, like, setting yourself for a good, I'm just going to run through 2026 really and setting yourself a little bit of goal setting, a little bit of looking ahead, planning, which is what we should be sort of doing, making hay while the sun shines, blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to talk about coming, at the new year, as it were. And then you've got that to watch back if you want to, a couple of weekends time when Christmas is over, New Year's over, and you're like, right, come on, let's get at it. You've got stuff to refer back to. Anyway, bring back football lives. I did think about that this evening. The issue with that is Man United are so poor at the moment. I'd get banned from TikTok for shouting at the telly the way I shout at the telly when they're playing. So literally that would be the issue. But I might do the first half tonight. Don't hold me to it. I'm not saying I will do, but we'll see what's going on. Plus, sometimes when I'm watching the footy now, Rachel comes and sits in line. She don't hear me gibbering on. If she has a bath tonight, I might jump on for the first half and come and say hello. But I'm not like I say. I'm trying to wind down a little bit. We'll bring back the football. I used to do the football lives Thursday nights. If United were in Europe playing on Thursday night, I would bring the football lives. I would bring the football lives back. Anyway, you never know, guys. That's me. I'm out. Have a great day. I'll be back tomorrow. We're holding on together. TikTok, sign off to you first. And Facebook, YouTube, I'm signing off to you second. Have a great day.